Om Satchidananda Rupaya Vishwotpatyadi Hetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Numaha. Janmadhyasya yatonvayaditaratascharteshvabhignaswarat Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muhyanti Yatsurayah Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yatra Trisargo Mrisha Dhamna Svena Sada Nirasta Kuhakam Satyam Param Dhimahi Dharma Projita Kaitavotra Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam Vedyam Vastavamatra Vastu Shivadam Tapatrayon Mulanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite Kim Va Parerishwaraha Sadyo Hridya Varudya Tetra Kritibihi Shushrushubistatchana. Hari Om and greetings from Cleveland. Rishi Kardama, for 10,000 years, engaged in Kriya Yoga. He was aspiring to be independently joyous, but after 10,000 years, he felt he was faltering, that he was failing. So he shifted his efforts from Kriya Yoga to Bhakti. He was thinking about Bhagwan. He was feeling Bhagwan. And in a short period of time, Bhagwan Narayana manifested before him and answered his prayer. Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us the art of dying. Every one of us is going to die, but there's an art to dying. Our dying becomes artful if our living is artful. So though this is the art of dying, it's really the art of living. Rishi Kardama's prayers were answered. Our prayers will be answered also. Like Rishi Kardama felt that Kriya Yoga was not enough, that he needed to shift to Bhakti, we will also feel the same in our life. Whether it's school, profession, our families, whatever sadhana we're doing, we will feel that we are faltering, that we're failing, and we will transition to Bhakti, and our prayer will be answered. We will see God in our lifetime. Last week, we analyzed the relationship between Rishi Kardama and Devi Devahuti. And Rishi Kardama was perpetually testing Devahuti. Those who test us are our friends. They're our well-wishers because we grow in testing. In our annual Seva training, I was sharing 3 T's. What's the first T? Training. The second T? Testing. The third T? Truth. If your training is not tested, you will never feel like this is your truth. So Rishi Kardama was testing Devahuti because she is going to give birth to Bhagwan. There's lots of parents here. And all the parents here feel that their child is Bhagwan. And fundamentally they are, but functionally they're not. They are not. In Devi Devahuti's case, fundamentally her child was Bhagwan, and functionally also. His name was Rishi Kapila. Rishi Kapila is known as a Jnana Avatara. Avatara is when Bhagwan comes to be with us for a specific purpose. Bhagwan Varaha was known as a Karma Avatara. He came, he worked, and he left. Rishi Kapila is a Jnana Avatara. He came, he taught, and he left, but his teachings, they carry on. They are eternal. So Bhagwan came for different purposes with Varaha and Kapila. Rishi Kapila's teachings are known as, does anyone know? Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga is the framing of his teachings. Does anyone know what Sankhya means? All of our Sanskrit or Hindi speakers. Knowledge, numbers. That's right. Good for you. Sankhya means numbers or counting. It essentially is a system where it becomes more clear what Prakriti is and what Purusha is in English. It's a system by which we know what is matter and what is spirit. For us right now, there's only matter. But when you engage in a systematic study of creation, you know that there is matter and there has to be spirit. So this is what Rishi Kapila teaches. And his first student is his mother. And this is such a lovely scene that is, and I'll share with you shortly, that his mother knows how great her son is. And she says, teach me. And he does, and he teaches her Sankhya Yoga. So this is what we engaged in last week. And I also shared with you last week one of the most fundamental shlokas about Sanatana Dharma. Today I shared with you, last week I shared with you, today I'm going to share Sanatana Dharma 101. So I'm going to read this shloka again and then go through this with you. Tvatta sanatano dharmaha rakshate tanubistava dharmasya paramo guhya nirvikaro bhavan mataha. In this shloka, we find out the what, why, who, when, where, and how of Sanatana Dharma. Before I get into this, how many of you tried your raw by a show of hands? Your raw was to try to answer these questions yourself in regards to Sanatana Dharma. So here's what I feel the answer is. You can test yourself, okay? If in doubt if you're right or wrong, you're wrong. Okay, so use that as your gauge. Let's start with what? Sanatana Dharma as a noun means infinite nature. Sanatana means infinite, Dharma means nature. Describe one word about our infinite nature, the most important word. What is our nature? Happiness, ananda, peace, infinite nature. That's what Sanatana Dharma is. Sanatana Dharma as a verb is unchanging responsibility. Sanatana means unchanging, and Dharma here means responsibility. It is our unchanging responsibility to know and feel our infinite nature. Every other responsibility changes, but this responsibility does not change whether you're the youngest or oldest person here. Think lots about this. Sanatana Dharma as a noun is a vision. Sanatana Dharma as a verb is a lifestyle. And that's why Sanatana Dharma is called a way of life. It's how you should live so that you reach that independent joy. And if this is not our way of life, these are just words. Clear on the what? So now we shift to the why. Why Sanatana Dharma? If you want to climb to the top of Mount Everest, can you just randomly use your Garmin GPS and get to the top of Mount Everest? Can you just go with your running shoes? You have to follow someone who knows the terrain and the conditions to get to the top of Mount Everest. Now tell me, where is independent joy? Inside of you. Do you know the terrain inside of you? Do you know the conditions inside of you? We don't. We are extrovert. We know lots about science and we know lots about society, but we don't know a lot about our own minds, about the gunas. So we need a map. Sanatana Dharma is that map in print, and in life, it's our guru. Without a guru, that map is not alive. With the guru, that map comes to life. Independent joy is unknown to us, so we need a known factor. That's the guru, that's the scriptures. So what covered? Why covered? Next. And this is not the most important, but it is a very serious insight. Who? Who is Sanatana Dharma for? Old men from India. That's who Sanatana Dharma is for. The dharmic religions, specifically Sanatana Dharma, because all dharmic religions have come from Sanatana Dharma, do not have a founder. Do not have a founder. In Islam, it would be Muhammad. In Christianity, it would be Jesus Christ or the prophets. Who is it in Sanatana Dharma? Is it Vyasa? Is it Shankara? Is it Swami Chinmayananda? There's no founder of Sanatana Dharma. And why there's such a deep implication to this? When there's a founder, that religion tends to be for those who are like the founder. But if there's no founder, that means Sanatana Dharma is not about isms, racism, sexism, ageism, plagiarism. It's about universalism. This is for anyone. I'm cautiously not saying everyone because this is not for everyone. For some, this map and this guide is not their personality, it's not their blueprint, but this is for anyone. Which is why how the caste system is being practiced right now is completely anti-Sanatana Dharma. The caste system is another ism. Casteism, right? We call it casteism. That doesn't fit into Sanatana Dharma. And sometimes people say that you're born a Hindu or not born a Hindu. Also not true. Birth is just another variation of caste. The who is this universalism. And one more further implication of the fact that there's no isms, there's no conversion. If you follow the verb and noun, if you follow the lifestyle, you are a Sanatana Dharmi. And if you don't, you're not. But there's no ritualistic conversion that you wear a rakhi or you have a tilak. That is not present in Sanatana Dharma. The who, this is a personal experience. Right now, we may have 50 or 75 people here. This is called samashti puja, communal worship. But the fulfillment of this is called vyashti puja, where you practice the same at home, in your car, with your friends. It is personal. Your altar, your mantra, it's all personal. That's the who. Now we go to the when. If there's no founder of Sanatana Dharma, there also means there's no specific time that Sanatana Dharma started. Islam began approximately 2,500 years ago. Anthropologists believe Sanatana Dharma started 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, but they're using that in a limited scale and scope. A better way to understand this is, when did gravity start? Newton discovered gravity, correct? He discovered it, he didn't create it. Like gravity is integrated into creation, Sanatana Dharma is integrated into creation also. When creation came, what came with it? Sanatana Dharma. So there's no when. Now the implication of this, since Sanatana Dharma is not dated, it can never become outdated. It's not dated, so it can't be outdated. It's like the food that astronauts eat. It's not dated, so it can never be outdated, right? There's no water, it's not organic. There's also no nutrition left. But it can never go outdated, right? It's like French fries. They'll just go on and on and on. You can find some in between your car chairs, and you can eat them. They're equally as fresh. So not dated, not outdated. And that's so lovely because here we are studying Srimad Bhagavatam, approaching 2020. Okay, what did I cover so far? What was the first point? What? Then? Why? Then? Who? Next? When? Now we go to where. Where is Sanatana Dharma? Only in Varanasi. Actually, only in South India, correct? Sanatana Dharma's geography was known as Bharata Varsha. Varsha means land, and Bharata means where the focus is knowledge, where the focus is inner light. And that really was from Indonesia to Iran. That was all Bharata Varsha. When people started diluting Bharata Varsha, what came was Bharata Khanda. What does Khanda mean? Destruction, invasion, cutting. Then Gandhara Nagari became Afghanistan, as an example, correct? And things got cut. Even now we know there's so much political turmoil over even India being cut. What's lovely about this is if you think of the present demographics from Indonesia to Iran, Sanatana Dharma can be practiced anywhere. Can be practiced anywhere, should be practiced everywhere. And you've heard me talk about this many times. When Sheila and I moved, in our bathroom, we have a picture of Bhagavan Krishna. We love Bhagavan Krishna. So someone happened to tell us that you shouldn't have a picture of Bhagavan in your bathroom. So I went close to this person and looked at them in the eye and said, "You're telling me that Jagadishwara's manifest in every part of this universe but my bathroom. He doesn't know what's happening in here." Right? Even in the bathroom, Sanatana Dharma should be practiced. While you're showering, to do japa. Someone had mentioned perpetual japa. It was really lovely the other day. Vyasa was eating breakfast and Shuka was sleeping, but he sneezed and he saw the monitor and he goes, "Om Namo Narayanaya." Like he's developed that habit that when your body does something that's unusual, remember Bhagavan. So where is anywhere and everywhere? Now finally, how? Let's bring in the practicality of Sanatana Dharma. How do you practice Sanatana Dharma? Imagine your kids asked you, your last name is Sharma, your last name is Suresh, your last name is Jane. How do you practice Sanatana Dharma? What will you say? Go to Balivir. How do you practice this?
Do your what? Do your what?
Do your what?
Whatever is responsible.
Okay, engage in your responsibilities. That's a good message. That's what Bhagavan Krishna tells Prince Arjuna. Anyone else? That's why we need adult classes too, correct? Here are the 3 pillars of Sanatana Dharma. This is one framework, okay? There's multiple frameworks. This is the most popular framework. Brahmacharya, what's next? Ahimsa and Satya. Brahmacharya, Ahimsa, Satya. Brahmacharya is the value of discipline. Discipline. It means the one who is moving towards Brahman, and to be able to do that, you have to be disciplined. Ahimsa means sensitivity. When you're sensitive that you're more than the body and the mind and the intellect, you become sensitive of other people's body, minds, and intellect. We only think of it in our diet, isn't it? I practice ahimsa, that's why I'm a vegetarian, but I yell at my wife all the time. As if, all of the people are judging me right now. See, that's not ahimsa, that's very limited ahimsa. And finally is Satya. Satya is courage. To live up to your beliefs, that's what Satya is. Courage. So if you're trying your best to be disciplined, to be sensitive, and to be courageous, then you are engaged in Sanatana Dharma. If you're not trying your best, on an application you can write, what religion are you, Hindu? But inside, that Bharata is not there, that light is not there. Sanatana Dharma 101 complete. Okay, please try to remember this. One of Swami Chinmayananda's first talks ever was, let us be Hindus. Because he observed that the people who have destroyed Hinduism the most is Hindus. Because most of the Hindus were lip service. I'm a Hindu, you're a Hindu, we go to this mandir and we wear these clothes and we celebrate Deepavali. But if asked any of these questions, what, why, who, when, where, how, just have faith. Don't ask questions, just have faith. Please try to remember this for yourself, for all of us. Now we continue with Kapila Muni and Devahuti. I'm still on the third skanda. I'm on the 25th adhyaya. Shloka 25. 25th adhyaya, shloka. The third skanda, 25th adhyaya, 15th shloka. 15th shloka. 3:25:15. What did Rishi Kapila teach his mother? And you should pause here. In this day, in this week, what did you learn from your kid or someone younger than you, a different generation than you? And I hope you learned something. I hope something transformative you learned from your kid or someone from a different generation. The fact that Devi Devahuti asks her son to teach her shows wisdom does not come with age. It comes with reflection. Cheta kalvasya bandhaya muktaye chatmano matam guneshu saktam bandhaya ratam va pumsi muktaye. What Rishi Kapila tells his mother, that wise people have understood that bondage is not outside, but bondage is inside. The facilitator of this bondage is the mind. So bondage is facilitated by the mind. What does bondage feel like? Give me what you feel like when you feel bound. Constricted, anxious, fearful, there's expectations, and you're emotional, you're stressful. when I change Vyasa's diaper, then sometimes I have to hold his legs because he likes to kick a lot. He's just frustrated. In that short period of physical bondage, he's frustrated. That's what bondage feels like. And for us, all of the boxes in our life are checked off. We have stuff, we have people, we have position, everyone's doing all right, but there's still frustration. That's what bondage is. And since it's not in the boxes, it has to be in my mind. And more specifically, Rishi Kapila says, when the mind is attached to the gunas, that's called bondage. When the mind is attached to pumsa, pumsa here means purusha, then the mind is free. When the mind is attached to matter, the mind starts to feel the limitations of matter. When the mind is attached to the spirit, the mind feels free like the spirit. That's what's shared literally, okay? Kapila Gita, also known as Kapila Upadesha. This is another Gita that we find in Srimad Bhagavatam, is chapters 25 to 32. 8 full, deep chapters on how to not be frustrated, rather to be free. After Devi Devahuti gave birth to how many kids the first round? 9. She gave birth to 9 Devikas. And they were all married, they were happy. And remember, her husband was given the permission that once he has a children, that he can go where he wants to go. So he was about to leave Mother Devahuti. And at that moment, she realized the greatness, the enlightenment of her husband. And she says, I don't want to be ignorant anymore. And this is so much like our journey, so much like all of us that are sitting here. We don't want to be dependently joyous anymore. We don't want to be extroverted anymore, which is why we're here on Sunday morning, which is why we serve. And Rishi Kardama said, you are most fortunate because you've given birth to the one who's going to teach you how to be free. And he leaves. He shifts his dependence from what's happening at home to Bhagavan. That's what Rishi Kardama does. He shifts his dependence. Freedom is when you depend on Bhagavan. You shift your dependence from creation to the creator. Swami Tejramayananda, when he taught us Bhagavatam, said, it is every child's responsibility to make their parents free. Now that's a very challenging and testing statement, no? How many of you feel that you've made your parents less worried? We'll just use the word worry. Less worried overall. By a show of hands, you have made your parents less worried. Okay, it looks like 1/3 of the people here, and then 2/3 of us are making our parents more worried. And this is not to share that we're irresponsible. I'm not saying you're irresponsible, but rather for us to work harder and smarter, for us to be more intentional with how we're living so that our parents don't worry, so that we are like Rishi Kapila to Devi Devahuti. Okay, so now I'm going to share a few insights into Kapila Gita, and the next week I'm going to share more. Here's one insight. Whatever you feel you are going to follow the same. Whatever you feel you are, you're going to follow the same. So if you feel that you're a dog, you are going to follow dog food. You're going to follow a soft place to sleep. If you feel that you're a materialistic person, you're going to follow materials. You're going to compare yourself to other people. But if you start to feel that you're a son, daughter of the Creator, who will you follow then? The Creator. So if you don't know what you feel right now, just look at what you're following. Whatever you're following is really indicative of what you're feeling, no? Another insight. You have to know more to be more. You have to know more to be more. Right now, there's 25 people who are engaged in 100 hours of silence. Many of them are here. And our first day of contemplation, I told them to contemplate on nothing. Think nothing, say nothing, do nothing. But we don't know what that really means. So it just leads to just this inner turmoil. And I'm consciously doing this so that one comes to appreciate what's happening in the inner world. Now we're shifting from that nothingness to what's behind your thoughts. Why are you thinking the way you think? Now, if you know that the spirit exists, that Atman is, once you know that, you can be that. But if you don't know that, how will you be that? Yes? If you don't know that Mitchell's ice cream is the second best ice cream in the world, so if you don't know that, you won't go to Mitchell's. That's why when people come from out of town, I tell them the second best ice cream in the world is here. And like a group from Houston went to Mitchell's yesterday. See the immediacy of knowledge, the power of knowledge. That's why we're trying to know more. This is not Bhagavata only. This is Vedanta in Bhagavata. What is the knowledge behind all of this? Here's another insight. Worldly joy is, those who can speak, fill in the blank. Worldly joy is temporary. Give me some more words. Fleeting. I was waiting for someone to say awesome. Incomplete. Worldly joy is sorrow. Worldly joy is actually sorrow, just like built into pleasure is pain. Best example is the buffet, correct? Plate 1, pleasure. Plate 2, pleasure. Plate 3, pain. But we still trick ourselves that there's pleasure, so we go in for plate 4 also. But we just suffer. You get into a food coma, and on and on and on. All is like that. So here, Devi Devahuti has had exponential pleasure compared to us. And Rishi Kapila is confirming that all that you thought was joy is actually sorrow in comparison to what your potential is, who you actually are. Next insight, you have to endure your own sorrow and be compassionate towards others' sorrows. You have to endure your own sorrow. And in the language of Bhagavad Gita, only if you can endure your own sorrow can you think more deeply. And if you don't endure it, you keep getting pushed around by those sorrows. Be careful not to give that advice to others. If someone is in sorrow, hey, just endure. And say it like that, just endure. You'll cause them more sorrow then. For others, compassion. For oneself, develop. And last week I shared with all of you, 2 weeks ago, one of your questions was how to develop the strength to endure mistakes, endure in general. And here's your last insight for this week. When you attach yourself to the one who is detached, Bhagwan himself, herself, will come and lead you to independence. When you attach yourself to the one who's detached, to those who are detached, Bhagwan will be your guide, will be your leader. And Devi Devahuti is the prime expression of this. She was attached to Rishi Kardama. He's totally detached. So who came to lead and guide her? Bhagwan came in the form of Rishi Kapila. Bolo Rishi Kapila Bhagwan ki. When we meet soon, we will complete Kapila Gita. And with the completion of Kapila Gita comes the completion of this skanda. So we will review this entire skanda next week. And I'm quite appreciative and excited that all of this is happening during Navaratri, leading up to Vijayadashami. This is perfect. Oh.